So I want to talk about Warlords of Draenor and why I don't like it. Specifically in this case, the Iron Horde, and why I think they were a very poor threat. They were not a good villain for us to face in the expansion. So from the top, Garrosh goes back in time and through an alternate universe by using the power of the artifact that we discovered on Timeless Isle. And he goes back there. He meets up with his dad, not his real dad, because it's an alternate universe, obviously. And he decides, well, I'm going to make the Iron Horde. We're going to be just like the first Horde, but we're going to be pure. We're not going to have any demon influences. Okay, cool. That's all right with me, actually. I still don't like the fact it's an alternate universe, because then it means there's not really any stakes in the game. But at least we got a villain, right? We have a clear enemy army. They've been built up. It's cool. Here's where the problems start, though, because number one, their weapons. We're supposed to be all scared of their siege weapons and their giant technology, but forces on Azeroth made that, specifically the goblins working in the Horde. It's not as if they're gonna be ahead of us. They don't have advanced technology. It's the same as the stuff that we were using. And the goblins and gnomes on Azeroth can still make better stuff. It's not as if the Iron Horde is the top of the line. And they don't have any goblins. They don't have any really smart engineers working on that stuff. I mean, sure, Garrosh brought a few goblins with him, apparently. We don't know when that happened, but apparently he did bring a goblin corp with him, and they did work on some of the siege weapons a bit more, but it still wasn't enough. Like, the orcs are blacksmiths, is their thing. They create armor, they create weapons, they forge stuff. That's all they do. They're not really innovators. They just made weapons, normal weapons, swords, axes, that kind of stuff. The idea that we should be afraid of their giant cannons is really bizarre when we have stuff like, you know, the Sky Fleet for the Alliance. We have Zeppelins, we have tanks, we have everything. We could wreck them if this was on their front. If we went over there with our full armies, like we were able to march through the Dark Portal with all our forces and not just a small strike force at the beginning, we could have wasted them. The technology is really not an issue here. Secondly, the Iron Horde is not large enough to really be an issue. Because, think about it. We have all the forces of Azeroth at our disposal, basically. Humans, night elves, dwarves, orcs, undead, all of it. They're all here. And then, of course, within the Iron Horde, there's traitors like the Frostwolf clan who won't want to fight them, the Laughing Skull clan. There's just no way. There's no chance in hell that the Iron Horde had an army population higher than all of our forces combined. That's just not gonna happen. It's just really weird that Blizzard took that route, because I know Blizzard does not do populations. They haven't done populations, like real number populations, since the RPGs. They're not bringing them back either because it is a limitation on their storytelling abilities. That's okay. I'm honestly not too worked up about population sizes, like specific numbers, but just generally thinking and using common sense, it doesn't work for the Iron Horde to be a big threat to us, because we outnumber them like 10 to 1 probably. And you can say that after the end of the war between the Horde and Alliance with Mista Pandaria, you could say both of our forces were weakened. And you're right, they are. There's no reason to think they wouldn't be weakened. But it's really not that bad, because both sides took a beating, right? But at least we're still united. We're still working together. It's not as if the Horde and Alliance were really fighting that much during the course of Warlords of Draenor. Sure, we had our throwaway PvP island, but other than that, I mean, there wasn't any hostility between the two forces, really. I mean, Legion is the end result of that, too. The Horde and Alliance are working pretty closely together. Things are starting to fall apart in Legion, but at the end of the day, we're still together. So, here's the other thing, though. Thinking of populations in the First War again, the Iron Horde invaded through the Dark Portal into our main universe, and, they got all the way up to our fortresses, Netherguard Fortress and whatnot, and then they stopped, because we beat them back, because they suck. I mean, here's the thing, if your intro event is us stopping their big invasion force with almost no effort, and then pushing them right back through the portal, and then immediately blowing up the portal, you just set up the Iron Horde as a bunch of fucking losers. What, like as Brian Alvarez would call them, they're a bunch of geeks. they can't do anything. They can't do anything right. They had the element of surprise, they had all their tech, they had their best troops on the line, and they got pushed back immediately. That's not a very good way to start your expansion threat. It's not like Wrath of the Lich King, where Arthas had the whole plan to get the best champions to attack him so then he could raise them as his own. The Iron Horde doesn't have that. This was actually their attempt, and it just failed miserably. And we knew this was gonna happen before the expansion even came out, right? Because it was the pre-patch event. So right out of the gate, we're just like, well, why do I really care then? There has to be another threat here. Like, when the Legion showed up in the last patch, it was like, well, no shit, the Legion's gonna show up. Well, where else could they have gone? The Iron Horde was never gonna be a real threat. And here's the other thing. The humans specifically still remember the First War. It's not like it was that long ago. The humans have the drive to win specifically that the Iron Horde don't. Because think about this. The First War, going by the UVG timeline, the Ultimate Visual Guide timeline, which is the canon timeline. I'm not going to go into any of the informal timelines. Going by the main canon timeline, the First War takes place at year 0, the Fall of Stormwind is years 3 to 5, and the Second War is year 6. Right? Destruction of Draenor, year 8. So that was Beyond the Dark Portal. That's when we really hammered down the Old Horde. Well, guess what? Warlords of Draenor takes place in year 31. So it's only been 31 years since the First War. Humans remember that. That's not a long time. They would clearly remember the First Horde and go, you know what I don't want to see happen again? That. Let's stop these motherfuckers. And we did. Both the Horde and Alliance united, and we pushed them back through that fucking portal immediately. What's the Iron Horde's drive here? What is driving them beyond, we will not be slaves, but we will be conquerors? Like, that's it? That's the whole goal. Orcs are warmongering conquerors. What was Thrall's whole thing, right? That the orcs weren't warmongering conquerors? I mean, obviously you can debate that all day on the story forums or on our WarcraftLore or wherever you choose to debate it, but they have this whole characterization that orcs were not bloodthirsty savages. That's the whole thing. That's a subversion of the usual trope. And yet the Iron Horde is that trope to a T. They're all bloodthirsty warmongers fighting for no reason. And because they don't have any drive, they don't have any real motivation, they get their asses handed to them all the time. When your whole motivation is just, I want to be stronger, you tend to lose. I mean, come on, haven't you read any anime or manga? You know that's gonna happen. Whoever has the higher willpower wins. I think the creator of One Piece actually said that straight up once, although, get off topic. So the Iron Horde does not have as good technology, does not have a larger population, and does not have the drive to win. They're also not as bloody. That's something else. The Horde and Alliance were just coming out of their war. They've been fighting wars for damn near 30 years straight. There's a new threat every other day to fight. You know, Lich King, Thunder God, whatever you can think of. We've seen it all. The Iron Horde, on the other hand, they've been fighting ogres and Draenei, and that's it. They're not really prepared. And sure, orcs do have a natural inclination towards warfare, but so do our orcs, right? The Iron Horde has nothing going for it at this point. Like, nothing. So that's the Iron Horde's overall threat status, and now on an individual level, I want to complain about the Warlords real quick, because they had no build-up outside of the YouTube videos and the comics. That cannot be allowed to keep happening. I understand it is the status quo. Like, these days, if you're a lore head, all your lore comes from books. All your lore comes from comics. Even the manga, the Legends manga, those were pretty good too. But the in-game portrayals do not give you enough information. If you are going just by in-game, then you don't know shit. Like, all these warlords are just random geeks who show up every now and again. They give a hammy line, and then you beat them back. And that's it. There's no big badass thing. Like Kargath. Kargath is one of the coolest warlords, in my opinion, in the main universe. I think he's awesome. Like, he has a base named after him. He's pretty cool. You know, he had to go assassinate him in the vanilla quests. You know, it was great stuff. You fight him again in Burning Crusade. But here, he's just there. He doesn't do shit. Most of the warlords don't do shit. I mean, Ner'zhul, big boss among the Iron Horde, right? He gets fucking thrown off a stage in a dungeon and doesn't come back. Why? Why would they do that? They just made all the warlords. They didn't seem like bosses. The only one that really got built up was Blackhand. And even Blackhand didn't really have good build up in the game. Doomhammer betrays him in Terracar Forest. It's like in a second. Like there's no build up to the moment. There's no conflicting views. Thrall doesn't try to speak to him. Durotan doesn't really try to speak to him until it's too late. Doomhammer's just there fighting with the Iron Horde and just decides, you know what? Fuck you, Blackhand, and attacks him and then dies. And that's our build up for Blackhand being a badass, basically. The fact that he survived a ship exploding him. That's it. There was no build up to the warlords. You can't do that. You have to have expectations for a big boss, especially when that big boss is supposed to be the villain of the expansion. And yes, I understand that things change. I understand that this is just like the Burning Crusade, which run threat then leads to the Legion at the end, at the very end. But that's not good. You want the main threat to still be a good main threat. Mr. Pandaria had the Thunder King. He was great. He had excellent build-up throughout the first patch. He had an aura of mystique to him. He got resurrected. And then patch 2, we had an awesome new zone just for fighting his forces. He was built up as this monster that defeated a Titan Pantheon member, or a Titan Construct, I should say. And it's awesome. It was just awesome. Where is that in Warlords? Where is that? In the fucking videos? On YouTube? Like, God. One more thing about individual members. Garrosh. I want to talk about Garrosh. His death was so lame. And that's going to get some people riled up because it was an awesome cinematic, I'll give you that. But Garrosh had legitimate grievances against Thrall, and like what he was saying was right. He told Thrall he didn't want to be the war chief. Thrall made him war chief anyways, because he thought they would only respect an orc war chief. And yet we've clearly seen later that that is not true, because Vol'jin is war chief and everyone seems fine and dandy about it. And then later in Legion, spoiler alert, I'm not even going to spoil it, but suffice to say, orcs are not always going to be war chief of the Horde. But Thrall had this backwards idea that they had to be an orc, so he put in Garrosh instead of someone better like Sarfang, maybe. And Garrosh fucked things up. Power went to his head. He couldn't deal with it. He's an insecure guy who's not ready for that type of power. He's a good general. He's good at martial stuff, and that's it. So why then does Thrall give his big speech about, no, Garrosh, you failed the Horde? No, Thrall, you failed the Horde. What the fuck, man? Why would you do that? So then Garrosh gets killed in the Makara by Thrall, which was kind of weird to think about, honestly, because Thrall and Garrosh have had, I think, 2 duels before, and both times Garrosh had the upper hand, even when Thrall was using his elemental spells. It's kind of weird. And by the way, don't talk about the Makara cheating, because Thrall did not cheat. Point blank, he did not cheat. You can watch any other Makaras. Thrall used the elements there. No one cheated. Neither side had witnesses. That would be considered cheating in traditional Makara rules. It doesn't really matter. Really, Makara just means ceremonial duel, where the ceremonial rules don't really matter at the end of the day. But that's another rant. So this brings me to the next part of this video. How would you fix it? Because complaining about something is easy. Fixing it is hard. That's what nobody likes to do. And I don't really want to do it either, but I'm going to give it a shot. So here we go. Step 1. Iron Horde plus something else. The Iron Horde on its own is not a good threat for all the reasons I explained earlier. They're just not going to work. The Legion came in too late. When the Burning Crusade, when the Legion came in at the Sunwell, it kind of made sense. They had a bit of build up to it. There was some foreshadowing. It was alright, But here, they just pop up. Like, we knew Gul'dan was going to work with the Legion anyways, but they shouldn't have been the big ending boss, That's too obvious. It's too blatant. It's just a rehash of Burning Crusade at that point, like I said. Either have the Legion come in earlier and have Gul'dan and his demon forces, have them be there the whole time, is what I'm saying. Have them be there the whole time, and you can build it up better. Or, just don't do it. The other option is to use the Draenic Old Gods. In Outland, there is an Old God that the Erica Ghosts were summoning, right? And then we see that the Titans are on Draenor too, which the Titans, wherever they go, Old Gods seem to follow, because Old Gods like corrupting their shit. So you could have easily used an Old God tie-in, have them work with the Iron Horde, because Garrosh has worked with the Shah before, and the Shah was a remnant of an Old God. Garrosh is really weird about what he chooses to embrace and what he chooses to reject. He's good about corrupting elementals. He's good with the Shah influence. He's just not down with the demonic influence specifically. So I think you could have done it. I think it could have been done where the Iron Horde works with the Draenic Old Gods against us, and that would have made them a much more powerful, much larger threat. Here's another idea. This one is completely out of nowhere. This is not related to what was happening. I say we could have had the Arakoa and the Iron Horde fighting each other. I think it could have been really interesting for our forces to just be that small strike force that we saw at the beginning when we went through the portal the first time and then immediately closed it. And what could have been interesting is if we kept our strike force as just the strike force from the beginning, right? No summoning in armies. The garrison is fine because you do need a fortified outpost, but no big armies, nothing like that. Just our small strike forces coming in. And what's happening is the Arakoa are fighting against those savage Iron Horde, right? Civilization against barbarianism. And while that war is going on, they'd be pretty evenly matched, I think, with the Arakoa's sun magic and their gods against the Iron Horde and their machinery. It could have been a really interesting clash between, you could say religion and machinery. It could have been good. And while that's all happening, we're just there in the crossfire, right? We're running across battlefields and scarred remnants of the land and burned out villages and stuff like that. And all the while, our number one goal is to stop Gul'dan, because Khadgar still sees the threat in Gul'dan and goes, hey, we gotta stop this guy. We need to end it before he can fuck up our universe too. So all along the way, all we're there to do is save Draenor and innocents and stop Gul'dan. That's it. Because here's the thing. The Horde Alliance should be very war-weary at this time. They don't want war. They just got out of a war between their two forces. They're just uniting for the first time. We've just fought threats for 30 years in a row. We don't want to have our big armies out there. We can't really afford it. Not really. Obviously, we could send out our troops again, like we did in the expansion, but that's not what they want to do. They need rest. They need respite. So that's why you have just the strike force of the best soldiers, including our players, to go out there and do what needs to be done. We don't need the large armies. It could even end the same way, honestly. You could still have the Legion ending and just have our strike forces there to stop it. The Iron Horde and Arakoa might even unite to join up and fight them. It could have been interesting. But that is a totally left field idea. You could even merge it with the other idea I said with the Draenic Old Gods. You have the Old God Iron Horde against the Sun God Arakoa. That could have been really fun. But yeah, anyways, this video is already going on too long, so I'm just gonna end it here. Thanks for listening. Check out our Warcraft lore on Reddit if you feel like it. I'm Rufin. Have a good day.